Well, good morning, everybody. Today is, or afternoon, wherever you are. Today is Saturday, September 14, 2019. Welcome to our Contract Trust Conference call. We are not accountants, tax professionals, lawyers, or currency dealers. We are not engaged in rendering legal, tax, accounting, or other professional advice. Should you require those services, you should retain competent advice from a professional in that field. Well, thank you for joining us today. My name is Carol Werelius, and I will be joined today by my good friend and associate, Jim Knox. Hope everybody had a pleasant Labor Day holiday. I know most of us had dreams of being able to contribute to our country's economic well-being as well as our own, but unfortunately we're still not there. However, it does appear once again to be that close. Jim and I get calls all the time what to do, how to follow the terms of the trust and not get in trouble. So we thought we'd address a few of those issues today. We invite your questions, so please *6 to raise your hand, and we'll address your concerns as they come up. So as you know, the very reason for this contract trust is asset protection, privacy, and anonymity. In order to achieve those goals, you must properly execute and operate it. We provide all the information you need to get started and to keep you operating within the rules. Obviously, you must understand the very basics of the contract trust before you can effectively work with it and within it. It is vitally important to read the contract trust and all the supporting information we provide. Read it and read it again. The trust is only 10 pages, written in everyday language and easy to follow. It even provides instructions for the trustees as part of the indenture. And I quote, "The trustees shall regard this instrument as their guide, to be supplemented from time to time by regulations, bylaws, and/or resolutions of the board to cover contingencies that may arise, which are recorded in the minutes." I know I had a conversation with Jim yesterday, and he had a conversation with one of our clients. He said, I went back and read it all. I was really surprised. It tells me just about everything I need to do. So just take that as a clue. You just really need to understand it. You need to sign it where indicated. If there is a signature line without a name under it, as in certificates 3 and 4, don't sign it. Several pages have to be signed in front of a notary, and they are all clearly marked. The only people that must sign before the notary are the curator and the original exchangers, typically you and your spouse if you have one. You do not have to take your successor trustees. Most of you are aware of our members-only website, indicatorinformation.com. Jim has endeavored to pack that site with as much information as you're ever likely to need. There's a wealth of information available for your use, from simple explanations and resources to complex strategies. It's a resource that is part of your trust, so take advantage of it. And one of the biggest questions we get is, how do I get money out of the trust? There are actually several different ways. The first way is to pay yourself a modest salary as trustee. And this should be enough to cover your everyday needs, groceries, utilities, gasoline, medical bills, etc. And you can take whatever you think is the right amount. If you think you need $5,000 a month to live on, pay yourself $5,000 a month. If that for some reason isn't enough, give yourself a raise. If it's too much, don't take as much. But it's totally up to you. The second way is to declare and pay a distribution to the trust certificate holder of the contract trust. In either case, this money is taxable income to you. You probably want to take some money this way and pay a minimal amount of tax. You could also borrow from the trust. A big question for many is, how do I pay off my house, or how do I purchase a new property? There are a couple of ways to do this. You could borrow the money from the trust, essentially a new mortgage or refinance that you control. In this scenario, you still owning the property in your own name. This is not a good idea if you're trying to keep a low profile. The better option may be to obtain a mortgage from the trust, secured with promissory note, and put the house in a real estate trust. This will be optimal for larger expenses and not a taxable event. You could use the same method to purchase new vehicles, etc. Creating secondary contract trusts is another way to purchase big-ticket items without creating a loan or a taxable debt. And actually, that is my method of choice. when this event happens and we purchase another home, it's going to be by creating a secondary trust that will purchase that home and own that home. Don't forget about tax-deductible expenses. Now, what about vacations and golf and tennis club memberships? As trustee, you're charged with managing and growing your trust. That means you probably want to investigate business opportunities and relationships, doesn't it? Most of those expenses are tax-deductible to the contract trust. And regardless of which method or combination of methods you choose, be sure to write minutes to support your actions. You must be diligent in keeping the contract trust legal and in compliance with federal, state, county, and city codes. And, while we've mentioned taxes and taxable income, that may all change. And nobody knows. We've heard that the IRS and Federal Reserve may cease to exist as we know them. We've also heard that we'll be changing to a flat tax system. Nobody knows for sure at this juncture, but, just be aware. Some of these things may change. Most of us have waited a long time for this RV to occur. We have plans for new houses, new cars, helping out families and friends, not to mention our humanitarian goals. How do we get money to do all those things? Bear in mind that we are not accountants, CPAs, or tax professionals. More importantly, we don't know what restrictions we may be under post-RV. All I can offer you now is my opinion on a possible scenario for some immediate needs. And most of you have heard this so many times you could probably repeat it, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Mr. Baker, I now have X million dollars. I would like you to put $100,000 into a new personal account for me. I would like to take $7,500 in cash with me when I leave today, as well as a debit or credit card attached to my personal account. I will need these wires to be sent, and there is a list of cashier's checks that I need. I will need a pass-through account for X number of dollars. I would like to put the balance into an account at your bank for ABC Trust, and here is my paperwork. The abstract of trust and EIN should be all that you need. And again, I'm not a CPA or tax planner. Just my opinion how we may be able to take advantage of this one-time tax break. It's obviously pretty simplified, but you get the idea. Jim, would you care to add to that?
Sure. Okay, a couple of things I've been making notes as we've been going through this. And the biggest thing I want to emphasize is we really don't know. It goes back to my cliche is we don't know what we don't know. It's been that way since we started this voyage, shall we say, towards our ultimate wealth. When we get ready to go through this, it's going to be a seek and find out type mission. We're going to seek advice. We're going to find out how we're going to be able to do this. I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit. Not like I don't do that very often, right? And I'm going to say that you're going to be surprised how slow. I'll say that again. You're going to be surprised how slow this process will be once the RV happens. You're going to think that you're going to run out and be able to buy houses and cars and boats and planes and trains and multiple houses and different. No. It's not going to happen that way. See, here's the situation that you have to take and really wrap your brain around. This trust is the foundation of your future wealth. The whole system of trust that you can use is the foundation. Bear in mind that when they build a skyscraper, it takes almost as long to set the foundation as it does to actually build a skyscraper. Sometimes it takes 3 years building the foundation. And then in a matter of 2 years or less, they got the building up, 30 stories, 50 stories high, and everybody's moving in. That's where we're at. We're building the foundation. So when you go to the, whatever you want to call it, your appointment, shall we say, with the bankers, they're probably going to limit a lot of things that you can do initially. They're not about to let you guys go wild and crazy with millions and millions of dollars. They're not going to let you have the lottery mentality. They're going to put brakes on everything you're trying to do. And here's the issue, is we know that we're going to need wealth managers. We know that we're going to need what they call the home office system. And you need to take advantage of that. And they're going to guide you. So when people call me and say, well, how do I buy a car? I don't know. Haven't you done it before? Yeah. Well, we don't know what it's going to be after the RV, do we? So when you want to go buy a car, buy a house, buy an insurance policy, buy an annuity for your children, so on and so forth, your wealth managers are the ones you're going to have to go to, not us. They're going to guide you. They're the ones that's going to take and help you do the right thing. Now, they're going to have to embrace your foundation, this trust system, and they're going to have to work within the parameters. And it's only 10 pages. Trust me, they'll learn it. So don't everybody get all excited and upset and excited when this thing happens, think you're going to run out and buy all this stuff. It's going to take you months, if not a year or so, to get your whole estate established the way you want it. You're going to have to be trained on how to manage money. I was blessed when I was younger. I had quite a bit of money. I did pretty good. And it was training, and I used a bank in Anchorage, and the guy that was my wealth manager, this is way back in the 70s and 80s. I worked on the pipeline up there. He guided me, and he said, don't ever get in a hurry. Sit back, wait, watch, and we'll find out how to make it work for you. And he did. So we're all going to be getting the money, we think, in our bank, and we're going to go and buy all these houses and cars. I'm here to tell you, it's going to take a lot longer, and it's going to take a lot more preparation to do that. That was my major thing that Carol and I talked about yesterday, is it's not going to happen as fast as you think. If it happens as fast as you think, then there's a problem someplace because you're not prepared. Yeah. I want to emphasize one more thing. Read the trust. Study the trust. I've said recently to 2 or 3 people that call me, they ask me a question, says, well, have you read the trust? Obviously you haven't, or you wouldn't be asking that question. So I emphasize to them, what you need to do is not ask me questions. You need to read the trust. If you get into a situation you don't understand the trust, call me back. But everything that you're going to be allowed to do and how you're going to manage your estate is in the trust. It's there. It's written out for you. It is the blueprint. They don't build a building until they have the blueprint set up and approved. Well, you've got your blueprint. You just need to expand on it. I think that's what I really want. I got a couple more things I want to talk about later, but I think that's what I really wanted to get.
Okay. And I have heard, I'm sure many of you have as well, that Wells Fargo and probably the other banks as well are going to be offering classes on how to deal with sudden wealth. As Jim said, this is not going to be an overnight process. Your exchange is not even going to be a one appointment process. You're going to go for your exchange and then probably go back to maybe your local bank or the exchange center, wherever you are, to do follow-up appointments. So it's not going to be, let's exchange and let's go buy that house that we've been looking at for the last year. Let's make an offer on it tomorrow. It may not work quite that quickly, as Jim said. But remember, your contract trust is yours. It's a very private instrument that is, frankly, nobody's business but yours. Although we typically suggest you do not show it to banks, etc., sometimes you have to. As currency holders, as Jim has explained, we all expect to be working with a host of professionals like wealth managers to help us manage the assets of the trust. These professionals must be familiar with contract trusts and the rules and regulations applicable to contract trusts in general. They must therefore apply themselves to the study of those rules and regulations before they can do justice to the contract trust operation. They will have to do their homework. Be advised that most professionals are really not interested in learning anything new. However, I think they're all going to have to soon. But if they want your business, and believe me, they will have to learn it. No one attacking the contract trust with intent to distort it in any way can be successful if the contract trust organization is properly represented. Jim, I think I have hiccups. Would you go on, please?
Okay. So anyway, hold on. Excuse me. Okay, about 6 weeks ago, we introduced a special pricing program to make it easier to purchase a trust. That special is now over as our prices. Our new prices reflect about a $500 increase across the board. So just be aware that now we have that on our website, and we'll still work with people on some of that. Now, I want to go back to what I was going to add because we're getting kind of towards the end of this, even though it's a short one today, seems to be. We have a lot of time for a lot of questions. But I've been asked many times, well, what kind of a humanitarian project are you going to offer? What are you going to try and do? Well, let's think that through real quick. There's approximately, let's just say 5 million people that are Denarians, as we call ourselves. And they're all going to want that higher rate, so they're all going to have a project, a humanitarian project. This can take a long time for the banks and the legal beagles to vet all of that stuff. What I plan on doing, and I'm not saying everybody should do this, but what I'm planning on doing to make it simple on myself is convince my banker that I want a long-term relationship and tell him that I would like to have a humanitarian project. I'd like to specialize. For me, I want to specialize in the oceans and the atmosphere. But I don't want to bring a project to you. I want you, Mr. Banker, to go find and vet one of the best projects out there, and I'll be the banker of that. I'll put my money into that project. I want the top rate, and you guys get to decide. Of course, I want to be final decision on that. Decide where we're going to put that money, because I don't know how we're going to be able to manage 1 or 2 or 3 million projects out there. Can you imagine how long it takes to vet and get those things going?
No.
So what we may want to do is think about this and have that as an option when you go in there. Sure, you should have something. I want to have something about what I want to do about the oceans. And I'll have a somewhat detailed 5-pager. But I'm going to try and get them to find that for me so I don't have to manage it. Because when this happens, I don't want to work no more. I'm done.
There you go.
I'm 66, going on 67, and I have pretty bad health physically. And I'm starting to slip a little bit mentally, too, because of my age. But it takes me a long time to go do things. I mean, I have to have a cane to get around or a walker. I've been this way for 20 years because I broke my neck. And I would like to, in fact, I was just reading a novel yesterday, a short one, about, I guess I go novellas are short. Anyway, about living in Acapulco. It sounded good to me because down there, they'll take care of you. You get yourself a nice villa and you get to your people that are usually working well with you, and they'll take care of your villa and your yard and your food and everything. That's what I want to do. I want to get out of here. I want to go play. I want to go relax. And so I'm not going to obligate myself to any long-term anything. We said we'll give you 6 months after the RV. Well, some of that 6 months may be long distance to Mexico to talk to me. He says, never know. I'll always take the calls, but it may be a little spenny to get the call down to me. Carol, you want to add some more to that?
Well, I totally agree. My husband Jay and I have several different things we want to, again, contribute to. I don't think it's necessary for people in their 70s to reinvent the wheel. I mean, I know a lot of people have very definitive plans, and they want to do this, this, that, and the other, and they want to start from scratch, and they've got, 200-page business plans, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not there. Jay's not there, and we're right along with Jim. Once this is done, we just want to retire. I want to spend some time with family in different parts of the country. I want to do some traveling. But as far as reinventing the wheel for some brand new project that somebody else is probably already doing, it doesn't even make sense to me, and it clearly is not attractive to me at all. But, we've got several executive summaries that we have in our RV packet or RV manual, whatever you want to call it. But there's somebody else's projects. And for those of you that have your own project that you want to do, more power to you. I think we've all heard at this point through these many different calls that we will more than likely get a higher rate if we are, number one, prepared, and number two, have some humanitarian projects that create jobs, and especially if you bolster the economy of our country. I think that's going to make a big difference. I really do. We've been online only for 20 minutes, which is pretty unusual. We both usually talk more than this, but I don't see any hands raised, so I'm sure somebody must have some questions.
Is Dane out there? Dane Eiler, if you're out there, would you raise your hand? I want to talk with you.
Who was it that you said, Jim?
Dane Eiler. If he's out there, I don't know if he is or not. We talked yesterday briefly.
I don't see his name here. What area code is he?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. There we got a couple of callers. All right. Thanks, Sandy. You're up.
Jim, Carol, whichever one wants to answer this. This is Sandra. And Texas. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how y'all doing today?
We're doing just fine. We're a little warm today. My family, there was Jim Jenkins said I had the biggest family tree, and I know that's not true, but there were 13 of us who purchased this trust, and I've added to it for grandkids since. I mean, I'm a firm believer in this trust. I've been reading about it for 9 years now, but I've been asked some questions, and I've given my answers, but I want to make sure, and they may be on the call, they may not be, but in the minutes that we were given, that when we purchased any more currency throughout the year, that we did this as an individual, as myself, on behalf of my trust. But we were not to put any amount or what we paid for it or the number or anything like that. And so I've been asked, at what time do we ever have to do that? I said no, that we never have to indicate. We have bought it on behalf of, and that's it. Am I right or wrong?
Jimmy, you want to take that? I have my opinion. You tell me yours.
I would say it's nobody's business but the trust, because it's private. It's 100% private.
Okay.
That's what's unique about this. This is a private contract. The government does not have any way of getting into it. Remember, the Constitution guarantees you the right to contract. They're not about to go around that. So it's private. You can do anything you want, and that's why I don't put any values or any numbers in any of my stuff. And I'm not going to put anything until after the RV, so I know exactly what they're saying, what terminology used. Then I'll add a minute what I feel necessary into my trust. But I'm not putting a dollar amount anywhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Long before we ever heard of dinars, Jim did trust, and my husband and I did trust. And when it came to listing on the schedule what you were investing in this trust, we put $100 and other cash deposits, because you typically need $100 over the bank account. It's nobody's business what those other cash deposits were. If you were putting in your baseball card collection, just your baseball card collection, you don't have to put a value on it. If you're putting in all the furniture in your house, you don't have to put a value on it. It's none of anybody's business. So,
well, that was my answer too. So
then you did good.
Okay. I said, I'll determine what the value of it is. So,
there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Veronica, I haven't talked to you in a long time. How are you, my dear?
I'm fine, thank you. Hi, Carol. Hi, Jim.
Hi.
I am interested in this. In the event that you want to buy a house and you have decided I'm going to use this trust to buy this house, and say we're buying the house for $10, and we want to put an allowance, extra amount of money for other things. Now that money is there and it's available. But my question is targeting the whole idea that in the event that you have a lawsuit against the property for whatever reason, somebody fall or whatever, now isn't that person going to be, be able to touch that money that is sitting there like a duck? How can we avoid that happening, where we have that extra money for the use of that trust, for that, what we intended for? And we don't want that to be available to the public, as it were, or anybody who wants to put a lawsuit against it. How can we avoid that happening?
Well, you're going to have a homeowner's insurance policy, I would suspect, on everything. Make sure you have plenty of money in the remember that the tax write-off that you'll get by owning the insurance policy is well worth it. Just have a lot of insurance on it. I mean, you can have your basic homeowner's insurance, and then you can have a blanket policy on top of that nobody needs to know about for $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 million. I wouldn't worry about it. I would just get a homeowner's policy. If you're going to lose, let the insurance company pay the balance. That's what we have insurance for.
So in the case of a lawyer who wants to get the most for his client, and he sees all that money sitting around, you're saying he's going to be satisfied with the home insurance policy?
I don't know. It depends on the case.
Yeah, and how does he see all that money sitting around when it's in the name of a trust?
Oh, so if he's suing the property or whatever the name is on the property, you're saying he won't be able to see that?
Would he be able to go onto your bank account and see what's in there?
No, I'm saying when you go to the tax, the county and register that this house is under, is registered to this particular trust. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Then isn't that there?
He can see the value of the house, but he can't see how much value is still in the trust.
Okay.
There could be another $3 million in there. How would he know about it?
So in other words, it's not going to be accessible to him or her or whatever.
Yeah, I totally agree with Jim. What you need is a good insurance policy, good umbrella policy.
Okay. And so, in other words, they cannot go and check that bank account for that trust or whatever. It's just what is as far as the home insurance policy, whatever, right?
Yeah, it should be totally private.
Okay, then. All right. That's my question.
The only exception to the rule is if it's a crime that's been committed, like somebody at the house committed a crime, and they're actually the trustee, then that may be the only exception under discovery. But other than that, discovery does not allow them to look in bank accounts.
I see. Okay.
As I understand it.
Yeah, okay then. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Okay. Rob, how are you today?
Did you say, Carol, am I up?
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Carol and Jim, for everything you do. And I was just wondering, should we interview some wealth managers?
No, because they won't talk to you right now. Unless you already have a substantial wealth that you can prove, they're not going to talk to you. We've run into that many, many times already, people trying to talk to the wealth manager. They look at you like, you got what? You're crazy. Get out of my office.
Where are you going to get all this money? Oh, I have some foreign currency. Yeah, right. There's the door.
That's exactly what happened to me once. I would say that I wouldn't worry about it, and here's why. When you go there, these wealth managers are going to be trained and prepared to handle your estate and your questions. Why tell somebody that you don't know that's not prepared and have to educate them? So my point on that is I've told many people, don't say anything to anybody until post-RV, and they're going to give you somebody that's got some knowledge of what you're doing. And then you can ask all the interesting questions because they're going to be geared up for it. They're going to be prepared. They're going to know that we have trust. They're going to know about this type of trust. I assure you they know about this trust. I mean, Carol and I have got, hundreds and hundreds of bank accounts that we've helped orchestrate through Wells Fargo. Hell, I got 9 of them myself. They know what I do. They know what I have. They've read the trust. They know what it is. And they're impressed, by the way.
Yes, yes they are.
Well, now, will they be there at the meeting at the center? The first.
Who knows? We don't know.
Wealth marriage. Oh, okay. All right.
We have been told there may be wealth managers from different banks available to you.
But again, we don't know what we don't know because this is the one-time shot. This is a once-in-a-lifetime. Nobody's ever done this before. The whole economic system globally is in the process of blowing up and settling down to what we are hoping will be great for us. But nobody knows. I mean, I don't even think they know exactly what they're going to do because I don't understand. I don't think they understand how many people are going to be walking up to the counter to say, I've got this and I want to do this. And that's why I've said it's going to take months, literally months, to get a lot of this stuff done because where are they going to find wealth managers for 7 or 6 or 7 or 5 million of us?
Who have experience with huge, huge sums of money.
They're going to have to. It's going to be interesting. Let's just leave it at that. See how this shakes out. But right now, my opinion is I'm keeping my mouth shut, keep my cards close to my vest, as I used to say, and I'm not telling anybody anything until I get there, and I'm going to try and get them to do everything for me. Mr. Banker, I want a long-term relationship. I want the best rate. I want to put millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars into these different programs, but you have to vet it, and you have to figure out which one's right because I don't know. That's not my job. but I'll guarantee you I'll give you that money. We'll put it aside in another account, X amount of millions. You go find the account. Give me the best rate. Yeah. That's going to be my spiel.
Yep. And also, Mr. Wealth Manager, I plan to be moving to a different area. I need to help somebody find me a house. I need to hire some domestic help. I need to hire a personal assistant, the blah, blah, blah. Let them vet these people.
Yep. And I'm going to have, for me, I have to have personal security, because if you ever see me, you'll understand why. I look like I've had a stroke. My left hand doesn't work. My left leg doesn't work. I use a cane to get around. I fall a lot. I've been in the hospital recently from falling. And I can't defend myself. I can't run. I need to have somebody around me from the day this thing happens, that day on, because I can't protect myself. I am a kidnapping looking for a place to happen.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, that being said, okay, and I understand your situation, and I wish we were closer together so I could help you and with many things and go to the center with you. But what about also the rest of us? Should we have, a bodyguard or somebody, because we're bringing all this money in. If it gets out, couldn't they, stop us on the side of the road or something like that, or before we get there? Or
well, it's a possibility, but here's the deal. We don't know where we're going to have our meeting. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that most of us will be going to a military base. Because I have them everywhere.
If we have them, especially if we have them.
Right. And they will probably, when you get on the 800 number and you give them what you've got, tell them where you're at, I'm going to tell them, look, I'm disabled. I can barely walk. I need protection. What do you have? What do you guys suggest? You never know. They may just send a couple really rough, tough Marines and civvies to pick you up, take you over there. Mm-hmm. We just don't know.
I also remember reading some time ago that we will have security for up to 80 miles around us. So if you have to drive somewhere, like just say to a military base, you're going to have security to and from. Probably just a helicopter or something like that. I don't think you'll have somebody driving or a car tailing you. But you will have security all the way.
It'll be drones. They have small drones. They'll be all over the skies.
Really? So they'll know where we live, and they'll know our appointment, and they're going to basically follow us from our house to the center?
Probably.
Yeah. And, I know other people have plans. I know some friends are planning on renting a car, going to a hotel, parking the rental car in a hotel parking lot, and getting another rental car and driving from there, and then driving back to the hotel afterwards. I mean, a lot of people have given this the security issue a great deal of thought.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I'm going to do. If I have to travel, or I think I'm going to have to travel, everybody knows our cars. There's going to be two of us going down. One's highly armed. Letting everybody know that. You're highly armed. Don't mess with me. And we're going to be driving down in a rental car. We're going to do exactly what Carol just said. We're going to get a hotel room, a cheapie, drive the rental car there. We're then going to get a taxi cab. We're going to go get a different rental car. We're going to go to a different hotel. As we leave town, we'll take the first rental car and then close out the cheapie hotel room, take it back, and that way then we'll come back with a different rental car, probably a third one, or maybe just charter an airplane and come home. It's only about 800 miles from where I have to go. So you have to use some strategies here. I mean, it sounds like a spy novel, I know.
Yeah, it does.
We just don't know what we don't know. And we all are smart enough to have gotten into this and smart enough to have these Supreme Court vetted documents for our foundation. We just have to think forward. Okay, be prepared. Do this, do this, do this. Maybe we should all read a bunch of spy novels and give us a bunch of ideas.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that till just now.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So,
put that on the website.
Yeah.
One thing just for clarity, Jim is mentioning foundation. He's only talking foundation in terms of the example he talked about earlier in building something. Our trust is not a foundation. So just to get that clear.
Yeah, good point. I'm talking about we're building the foundation of our empire, and the trust is the foundation. Not a foundation, it's the foundation.
The foundation. There you go. Okay. Do you have anything else on your mind, Rob?
Well, yeah. Now that you mentioned it, just a quick note is probably for Jim, since I think maybe he called, but I got a email September 3rd that from the box shop, and they said, my payment's due by the 18th, and I immediately wrote the same day and addressed it to Brooke and just asked her about, are you still honoring the 5 trusts per mailbox?
Rob, let me jump in. Perfect. Just a second. She did call me. I forgot to tell Carol. She did call me. Brooke called me. They are now on board with what we have already set up. And she was saying, well, I never said I wouldn't. I says, well, that's not the information we got. So that's what we did. We started moving things around. So she apologized for not being clear on that. And she says, I will honor that. That's not a big deal. And I left her with a closing thought. I said, well, the reason that we're doing this is because the other people realize there's virtually no work for them. Maybe one piece of mail a year.
Yeah.
And she agreed, yeah, that's right. So she's honoring that now. And we're going to change our website to represent that. I just forgot to do it. I'll do it today.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ron, did a great job there by previewing that. She called me right after you talked to her.
Oh, great. Because the email I sent, I never got a response, and that was September 3rd. So,
called me, and she mentioned your name, by the way.
Oh, okay, because I recommended her calling you and Carol, and so.
Yeah,
good.
She did.
Good.
We're on the same page. Thank you. You did it. You did it.
Appreciate it.
Oh, well, is there anything I can do to help you out? I'll be more than happy.
All right. Well, you did pretty good on that one. Yeah. Push that RV button, Rob.
Yeah, okay. All right, we'll do on that one.
Rob.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, let's see. Wireless caller, area code 845. That's New York area, I think.
Oh, it's Georgine. I'm actually in Tennessee now. I moved here about 3
But it is an 845. 845 is a New York area code, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's my cell phone, and it's the only, it's what I have. But I live here now.
I get it.
In Tennessee, and I happen to live by a secret Air Force base. I'm like, I feel safe.
Oh, there you go.
So, anyhow, I have 2 questions, and, I'm reading I've only read it 5 times, and I'm still learning a lot. I have a question about Notary. I noticed on the abstract trust, mine is, for the Notary, he has it July 2nd, and then the rest of the trust is, June 2nd. No, it's July 2nd, sorry. And then the rest, what he did, my Notary, he made it June 2nd. Now, do I have to redo that abstract trust and get another form from you?
I will do one for you. Just send me an email, Eugene, because technically, we need to do that. Will it ever really matter? Probably not, but hey, let's be safe.
Well, right.
The thing is, don't forget, when you get another one, it's going to be dated September or whatever.
Right, but you can do, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Carol, but we can just do a real quick minute saying that due to a malfeasance of a notary, we had to reissue the abstract, and therefore it's dated a later date than the actual trust dated. Now, we can probably put a sentence in it saying this pertains to the trust dated such and such and such in the actual abstract we want.
Yeah. I really don't think it's necessary, but I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah, because the one that it gave me directions, and it was supposed to be July 2nd, and then my Notary did June 2nd. So I'm like, I would feel more.
Let's send it to Jim anyway and let him review it.
Yeah. And is this Notary local? Is he in New York?
No, this is Tennessee.
Okay. let's reissue it. Go back to him or her, and I'll give you two, one with the original date and one with a new date. And here's why I say that I'll give you two. Let the notary be on the hook for this malfeasance. Let them say, oh, yeah, I did put the wrong date on there. This is the actual date. You signed it, because in their notary book, they'll have the right date that you signed it.
And he said, that's what I talked to him about, and he said he would, whatever he had to do to correct it. It was his fault. That's what he said. So, I'm talking to you so we can make
Okay, well, just send me the date that you really need on that thing, just for my clarification. Okay. And I'll reissue that, and I'll reissue one with a date that I redo it, and you have both of them. And the one that you don't need, please shred.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I have another question, and I'm new at this, and now I understand why the Mellons and the other people, they must have something like this to protect them. And it's like, it's so smart. And again, it's my education, and I'm glad I found you guys. So anyhow, there was a conversation with the last talk about having a file for your trust. And when I went on, to my part of it, there's so much information. What do I put in that file? Everything, or what items do I put in a file?
You mean for the management of the trust?
Yeah.
Okay. What I have is what I call the secretary's book. It's probably not the right term, but I make notes. I have a handwritten tablet that I handwrite all of my decisions, speculations, and actions of each one of the trusts that I have. It's on a shelf in my office here. And if I'm thinking about, I need this, I'll pull that one off and I'll make a note. Okay, that's one. The second thing is anything that you have to do that would be a taxable event, you want the receipt, you want to put it in there, and you want to I use sticky notes. I love sticky notes. And I make little notes. I actually have a sticky tablet. I think it's 5 by 8, 5 by 6, whatever it is. And I stick a little sticky note on each one of those documents, and I make little notes about the document. I bought this for the trust, and this is when I did it, and this is why. Because the receipt really doesn't tell you what you did, and your memory's not going to be that good. So I make notes.
No.
And then I put that in the file with the receipts for the trust. And then any minutes, of course, they go in the trust. And that's all I do. I mean, Carol, add to that?
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Okay. Oh, that's easy. Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Gary, you're up next. Gary, are you there?
Oh, yes, I am. I was waiting to hear my name. Carol and Jim, I was on a call yesterday, and this is going to fall under the category of we don't know what we don't know. But I was on a conference call yesterday, and this one person was saying that when the RV actually happens, that we're going to be RVing, or the money is going to be exchanged in fiat dollars, not gold-backed dollars, and that what we should do after we RV is move our money offshore until it actually RVs, and then do with it what we want to do. Otherwise, we may actually lose some money. And I never heard anything like that. It sounds bizarre, but have you heard anything like that?
I have. I don't know if I believe it, but I have. Again, you're right. We don't know. We don't know. Federal Reserve notes, are not money. They're currency. And there are various ways to do this. Now, I did talk recently, and again, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you I had a conversation with somebody. And I have an account, I'll just tell you where it's at. It's Ameritrade. And I was talking about the brokerage account and how can I harbor a large quantity of money in there? He said, yeah, you can, but you should do something to make you some money. Well, so I put $1 million in there, and I take $50,000 and start buying something, to make me a little bit of money, and I can harbor that in there. The interesting rules and laws are different for a brokerage account than a bank account, and I'm going to tell people they should go look or read some of that stuff. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm not sure, but they're different. And you're only guaranteed X amount of dollars if the bank folds on you. Basically, not much. It's guaranteed. But there's different laws for brokerage accounts. The second thing is we talked about buying large quantities of silver and gold. and how to manage that and where to put it. Again, I'm not going to go into the details on it because it's private, because that's what he told me. But you need to have some idea what you want to do. And as far as being in fiat currency, probably. We haven't seen anything in the news about anything other than what I put on the website here a while back saying that we went on the gold standard worldwide. But then I listened to Breitling the other day, and he said, well, it's crazy to think that we're going to go on the gold standard because how can you manipulate your currencies internationally like China's doing and Turkey's doing and a few others? And if it's all in the same standard, then how do you trigger the value of the United States dollar against the Chinese yuan and all this other stuff? It was an interesting conversation he was having. But he says, well, the countries will have, will have gold. They're buying gold in mass quantities to back their currency internally, not externally. And I don't understand everything about that. So, again, I'm not a guru on that stuff. I go with what they say. So those are things we have to ask when we get there. And, yeah, I'm kind of leaning in that direction. We'll probably be in fiat currency because I haven't seen anything change yet. And if they're going to shut down the Federal Reserve, like we're hoping and been hearing, how's that going to affect the economy instantly? Is it going to crash? Is it going to do this? Is it going to rebound and be stronger? Who knows? I mean,
that's for sure.
Okay, then I was going to ask if we did RV and made our deal with a bank, whether it was HSBC or Wells Fargo or something like that, could we go to, for example, Vancouver, Canada? That would technically be offshore because it would be out of the country. And is there a way of doing that? How could we do that?
Well, I don't think there's a problem doing that anywhere. You can just open a bank account someplace. But remember, opening a bank account in a foreign country as an American is very, very difficult now because the IRS wants quarter reports from those banks on every transaction you do. Well, those banks they're not going to do it. That's why trying to open a foreign account as an American is really, really, really getting hard to do. And it's all designed around that. They want to know exactly what you're doing, where you're putting the money, and why you're putting it there.
Okay.
So it's going to be a situation where we just don't know. We have to wait. And, again, if these wealth managers work for the bank and the bank's lying to you, do you think the wealth manager's not lying? We don't know.
Good point.
So we just don't know. It's a crapshoot. Remember, we were never supposed to know about this. Remember, 13303, the Bush sign, is so vague that most people never caught it. I didn't catch it. Somebody brought it to my attention. I read it and read it and read it. It didn't make any sense until you break it down properly. But we were never supposed to know about this. It was only for the high muckety-mucks and the cronies of the political system that was in office at that time. But somebody figured it out, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they never planned on this happening with us. So they're going to do everything they can do to keep us from making a bunch of money.
That's true. They don't want us to be wealthy.
No, they can't control us. Right now they've got us exactly where they want us. I mean, which is broke and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And we're waking up, so we're not really that stupid anymore. We're still a little bit broke, but that's going to change.
Yes, it will.
Well, thank you, Jim.
You bet.
Right. Thanks, Gary.
Now,
thank
remember,
you, Carol.
these are just our opinions.
Yes, just our opinions. Hey, we've got another caller. Laura, how are you today?
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, this is Scott. Hey, Jim.
Oh, hi, Scott.
Down in Florida, you guys helped me out with a bunch of trusts. I have an LLC that I had a long time ago that I've just been sitting there waiting for this to happen. I was thinking about moving it out of my name into the Motherlode Trust, or should I come up with a separate business trust for it?
I would say a separate business trust. I don't, the reason I say that is the Motherlode needs to be as virgin as possible. You don't want to have anything attached to it, in my opinion. Carol?
Yeah, I agree. What are the plans for the LLC?
I'm going to use that to kind of like fund, you could say, nonprofit projects that say like set up shelters and stuff that are going to help people.
Okay, so you can have a new trust be the majority owner of the LLC, and then as far as the public is concerned, you're just an LLC. Sure, that's not a problem.
All right, so that trust would be called a what trust then? A business trust?
Yeah, well, they're all business trusts by their nature, but you can call it an investment trust, call it a charity. It's not really a charitable trust.
No.
Call it a management trust. You know, you can call it whatever you want to. Okay.
Right, but that's different than, let's say, the auto, home, and all that other stuff. So I just got to come up with a name for you for that trust, and then you could put another one together for me.
Sure.
Yes, we can do it. Okay, no problem.
All right, I'll email you that stuff.
All right.
Perfect.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Jim, we don't have any more hands raised here, and it's about 9 minutes to the top of the hour. Would you like to close out?
Sure. I also want to say one thing here that was of interest. Back in February, I told everybody we wouldn't probably see this RV till about September, and I got roasted on that one. Unfortunately, I was right. So I still think this might be the month. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I think this might be the month. There's a lot of things happening into the month. Mine is never a speculation. Mine's usually an educated guess from the knowledge I have and from the people I talk to and the situations out there. There's a lot of things happening by the end of this month. And I think that if all of a sudden you see a bunch of turmoil and stuff, then that means we're really, really close. Here's my opinion. I think that we're going to see something that's going to captivate everybody's attention and draw the attention away from us, and that's when you'll have your RV. That's my opinion. So, this has been Jim.
Before you go any further, we do have one more caller here. Would you like to take the call?
Sure.
Okay. McKinley, you're up.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Carol. Hello, Jim.
Hi.
Hi. I have a question concerning the additional trust. I know you guys are going to be gone for a while, and I do need the land trust, the automobile trust, the end of life. I call it the end of life trust. So how do we go about getting those things when you guys are gone?
Well, we're going to be gone, but we're not going to be gone when we're not working. We're still having some issues trying to get this new website up and going. Carol and I have been working a lot this week. We got it working for a little bit, and then all of a sudden when the program started crashing again on us. But very, very shortly, we're going to have, I'm hoping by the end of this coming week, it'll be up and running perfectly, that you just go on to a website. We'll get the address out later when we know it's done. We'll send a blast email out that you can go to, and you fill out the application online, and it goes into the queue. And then we'll have people working with us, and they will go ahead and process it. It's not like we're going away. We'll only be out of communication directly for about a week to 10 days, but we'll still be available. And the only reason we say that is because we got to do our RV too, so we can set up the rest of the stuff for all of you people. So that's what we're taking time off, is to get our stuff done, get it situated so we can get back to work.
Okay.
So, yeah, in fact, this new system that we're putting together has all of the major trusts in there, and you can fill out the application, including the triple play. So you can just fill them out and online, and then they will be dropped into the queue on our end, and our people will pick them up and start processing them right away.
Okay.
So.
All right, sir.
Thank
you.
Thanks for handling. Good question. All right, Jim. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but now you can finish.
Okay. Well, I just want to tell everybody it's been great talking with everybody today. I'm on the West Coast. My phone number is 503-583-6791. I like to work from 9 to about 6 Monday through Friday. If you call me before 9 in the morning, it'll probably go to voicemail. Sometimes after 6 I will pick up a call if I have time. Other than that, I guess that's all I want. Security at indicatorinformation.com. Security@indicatorinformation.com is my email address. Carol?
Thank you, Jim. Well, that is about it for today, and thank you always, Jim, for your assistance. Thanks to all of you for your attention and participation. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Enjoy your weekend. May it be a blessed and wealthy one for all of us. Again, my name is Carol Werelius. My toll-free number is 877-333-5018. And my email is info@indicatorinformation.com. Take care, everybody. Have a nice weekend, and we'll be back in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.